We like talking about everything growth related. At Badass Mavericks, we tackle fears and doubts head on. Overcome obstacles and thrive in all areas of your life. Here's your host, Brian Daywald.
Cool. So welcome to Badass Mavericks. Today, Nicole Wolf is a dear friend of mine and is joining our show. Nicole and I have met through business, got to be pretty good buddies. We talk 2 or 3 times a day lately, It seems, right? We got a lot of business going.
Just one time.
Yeah, that's funny. So thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about all kinds of things, whether it's business related. Nicole is just an amazing human all the way around, just in terms of family and balance, and kills it on the real estate side. So we just want to share some ideas and tactics and hear some of her stories. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. So Badass Mavericks is the name of our show.
Okay.
And a maverick is unconventional and doesn't think or behave as others do. That's kind of how I liked done like authority, really, right? So that's sort of why we call our company Maverick. Do you relate to independent or unconventional or think differently than others? And if so, how?
Yes. And I think for a lot of reasons. One, because I'm self-employed. I don't ever want to work for the man. I want to work for myself.
Okay.
I also have always, even since I was little, wanted to be so much more than a mom. I always knew I wanted to be a mom, but I always wanted my own identity outside of mom and wife.
Okay.
So I think that also is maybe a different thought process than how I was raised.
Okay.
Good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah.
So, and then I think just in how I present myself. So when I meet clients, rarely do I ever come dressed up. You'll see me dressed up at closing as you.
Sure.
But when I'm meeting people for the first time, I find if my guard's down or their guard is down more if I'm my authentic self, which is usually like running shorts or leggings and a t-shirt,
right?
You know, maybe you're up in a messy bun or a hat, like just me.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I love that. Is very maverick.
That is. It's very unconventional because it's just, but I love that you are just comfortable being you, which is, you know, who gives a what anybody else thinks kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I've always said, I don't want people to hire me because of the purse I wear, and I love my purses and I love my shoes. But I never want people to hire me because I have a Louis Vuitton or because I pull up in a really nice car.
Sure.
I just want people to hire me for me and know that regardless of how I look, it's how I make people feel.
Right. Which you're really, really great at. I've experienced. So I don't really know where this is going with like the whole podcast and everything, right? But I'm excited that you're here and to just share some ideas. You know, when I started putting this together, it was more about like me wanting to grow and learn and like just try new stuff, I guess, right? Like experiment, maybe a little bit of creativity, which I not really have been into before. You know, as you know, I'm a car guy and I have kind of this theory. There's a dear friend of mine named Hunter. He was a former coach of mine, and he had us write a paper a long time ago, like a letter to ourselves, basically.
Okay, yeah, those are powerful.
Those are pretty powerful. And it's like, write it like a year from now, telling your current self, you know, let's improve kind of a thing. So I had a theme to mine. It was firing on all cylinders, right? I'm a car guy and, you know, let's get all 8 kind of going at the same time. So like to that tune, I've been really wound up this year, as you know, like we talk about this all the time, just about growth. So whether it's the podcast or mental toughness or mental stability or health or business or family or whatever, like that's been high on my radar this year. When I say the word growth, or when you think of that, or when you hear that word, like what do you think about?
I think that I'm kind of a junkie with growth.
Okay.
And I don't think I always have been. I think it's really more recent because I'm constantly wanting to push myself and know more about myself and know what makes me tick in all the good and bad ways. So I think when I hear the word growth, I get excited and a little uncomfortable. But as I shared with you earlier this year when you were helping Kyle and I think if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
Right.
So I think that's just kind of stuck with me. And I think it's also been my word for this year. Not intentionally, very unintentionally, it became my word for the year.
Yeah, I love that. I was just sharing with Alex, have you ever heard the book Relentless by Tim S. Grover?
No.
It's insane. So quite not to detract too far from where we're going, but he was a strength coach. And then also he's got like a real tough mindset coaching background.
Okay.
He was Michael Jordan's individual coach for a long time, or trainer, I should say. He's worked with Kobe Bryant and some of these amazing NBA athletes. And there's a thing in there, and I have it underlined, and I've sent it to Alex at least a couple of times. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like it's just a fun experience. When you start to experience those things, you're like, oh gosh, I'm not going to fall on my face. I'm not going to, I'm not going to get T-boned by a train or anything. Right. Like it's just all
lights a fire.
Yeah. Lights a fire. That's fun. What about, and I didn't have this in my notes to go over with you, but you and I have talked about it quite a few times lately. What are your thoughts around like the 5 people that you surround yourself that you're closest with? Like all of a sudden, like for you and me, that's kind of a thing. Really kind of paying attention to. Did something light a fire under you as far as that goes? Or did you just notice some things or read something, or what's that about?
I think it's a couple things. I think reading, constantly my morning routine is super important, which we kind of dive into later. But I think the books I read in the morning really trigger a lot of positive thinking and a lot of self-reflection. So I am really interested and have really dove into wanting to surround myself with other people that are true and authentic and want to talk about the good, but also want to talk about the messy parts of life.
Yeah, the ugly.
So I think we're all just better for it if we're just honest about it. So I think it definitely helps. And I've had to put some distance between some negativity and some things that I don't necessarily want to be a part of anymore. And it's not easy. It's uncomfortable, but I can also know that I need to be selfish because in order for me to grow, I have to be okay with that.
Yeah. Which is hard.
Yeah. It's really hard. Yeah. Especially people that have known me my whole life.
Yep.
I think I've always been a big people pleaser and I've always prided myself on being someone that's always there for people. But I'm kind of getting to a point now where I want to pour into people, but I also eventually want them to want to pour into me and others and start growing themselves. So if that's just really not the trajectory, I have a lot of love to give and I don't want to just give it if it's not going to be used in the right way.
Totally get that. Wow. I love that. That's huge. What about, and I probably put something in here about routine, but since you just touched, I know, like every once in a while, I hate checking my email first thing in the morning, but sometimes it's like when I open my phone, it's on email and I'm like, and then like once a week, it never fails if I'm ever doing that, there's one from Nicole at 4:26 this morning. Like, and I'm like, that was 10 minutes ago. So I've been up since 4:36, right? Like, so I'm a huge believer in a routine and I like learning about routines. So what does yours look like?
So I get up at 3:45 Monday through Friday.
You're crazy.
And I
wait, what time do you go to bed?
Don't call me after 8:15.
Okay.
Because I'm not answering. My phone's on Do Not Disturb and really after 8.
Yeah.
So our kids go to bed at between 7 and 7:15.
Okay.
And between 7:15 and 8 is my time to read my trashy novels. So for in fact, I'm not growing and learning a lot about myself.
That's all right. That's not the time to learn.
2 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's when I'm just shutting my brain off.
That's hilarious. I didn't have about you.
Trash stuff.
Okay.
But I get up at 3:50 or 3:45 every morning and I just kind of start my day. I do a quick workout. Sometimes my mom comes over and works out with me, so we get to start our day together. Other times it's just me.
Love that, yeah.
And then I pour myself a cup of coffee and I sit on the couch and I read my 10, 20, 30 pages, depending on what I'm reading that morning, which is not anything trashy. It's usually growth-based. And then I kind of start my day. So it's hard to not get distracted with the phone and the email, and because I do intentionally leave. I'm really good at shutting my phone off at night, but in the morning, it's the first thing I want to do to just jumpstart my day so that I can feel on top of things. So it's hard, but I'm a morning person. I do my best thinking in the morning. I'm my best self in the morning. So I just utilize that because I know that about me.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. Well, good thing it's early before 10 a.m., right? So
you would have asked me to do this at 2:15 and I would have been like, hard pass.
7 p.m. Zombie. Yeah, right. So do you ever find yourself getting like when you're kind of in a groove or in the zone, whether that's, a day or a week or a month or 6 months or whatever, do you ever find yourself getting off track?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Mentally, I get off track. I have my voice, as Andy refers to it. And it creeps in and is like, hey, you've been doing so good. Just let yourself kind of ease back and, maybe take your foot off the gas a little bit. So all the time, I mean, every day, even getting up at 3:45, there's some mornings where I'm like, I'll just snooze till 4. But that extra 15 minutes kills me after 6 o'clock when the rest of the house is awake and needs for something.
Yeah.
So all the time.
When you get off track, do you have sort of does it take a little while for you to recognize that you're off track? Or is it like, I'm off track and I'm fine with it for right now?
It depends, honestly. Like earlier this year, my business was just off track. I just couldn't get anything across the finish line. I felt like I was working really hard and not really getting to the goal that was constantly moving. And I could feel myself really just taking on a victim mindset and feeling bad for myself and just being negative and being that person that I'm constantly trying to distance myself from. And I think it just depends. Sometimes I can pull myself out of it, and other times, to be totally honest, I just have to call my therapist and say, hey, I need a quick hour because I need to figure out what's going on and work through it.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is how. I mean, it sounds like you've got that figured. And does that normally help, even just a quick hour? Does it?
Yeah, I mean, so it depends. This most recent time, it helped tremendously. I mean, in an hour, I left feeling so much lighter and obviously was just an emotional wreck through all the things that we talked about and processed. But that's become very much a part of my coping or my ability to, I know when I need it, and Kyle knows when I need it. My mom knows when I need it. Those are the two closest people to me. Yeah. And they both will advocate, hey, you can't pull yourself out of this. You need to call Renee. Yeah. Kind of.
No, I love that. I'm a big, as you know, right, a huge proponent for therapy and mental health and, all this stuff. And I love that. I think it's not everybody really has it that easily because I'm kind of like you, right? I can go and talk, her name is Dee Dee. In fact, I talked to her last week. I can go talk to her and then it usually holds me over. In fact, she was looking through her notes and she's like, I saw you last September. Yeah. Must be like a seasonal thing. I'm like, I know. I just turned into a shit show, I guess, at the end of summertime or something.
I don't know why you said that's you think. Yeah. It's like end of summer. Why do you, it's like once a year. Yeah. Like, it's just kind of the time.
Makes sense. But I know for a lot of people, it takes more than just, hitting reset for an hour. And
well, I also think it takes years of kind of self-discovery and, self-reflection and forgiveness, all that kind of stuff. I mean, consistently back in 2019, I was going probably once a month for a full year to really like deep dive into me and what's going on. And now I know my trigger points and I know certain mindset and thoughts that lead me to, okay, I need to go back.
Okay. I love that.
It's a constant moving target.
Well, it is, but
give up on that.
But I like that you've got the wherewithal to kind of know that and the discipline of just being like, okay, I am off track a little bit. Let's figure out what it looks like to get back on track. Yeah. Kind of a thing. I guess that's what I really wanted to ask is when you get off track, what does it look like and how fast to get back home? So that's super cool. What about not necessarily like way off track, but when you get stressed or need to just kind of chill or unwind a little bit, what's that? Do you have a routine or an outlet or? Yeah.
Like Cycle Bar has become my outlet.
Yeah, that's right.
Cycle Bar has become my outlet. I have my favorite instructor, Shalee, who just, her music speaks to me. Nice. Her message speaks to me. I know even that has become something that Kyle will say, have you been to Cycle Bar this week? You're wound pretty tight.
Yeah. That is how long is that? Does you go for an hour?
It's 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
It's 45 minutes, once or twice a week. And I just completely open myself up to the space for 45 minutes and it's dark and you bike your face off and sweat and sing and cry and you can't really explain the emotions until you're in the room. Okay. And then you feel it.
And you just had your 100th ride, if I remember.
Yes, exactly. My 100th ride. Thank you. It was a pretty exciting day. I never thought I'd be an organized athlete type thing or, that would be my outlet. But I tried it one time and I loved it. Wow. And I just got addicted.
That's awesome. What about, I want to play some mental toughness quizzing here with you a little bit because for me, like, I've been into a better fitness routine this year for sure, but it hasn't always been, and I've done it in the past a little bit and gotten away from it. And excuse me, like for me, I used to be really, really self-conscious about it and like compare myself with other people and things like that. Is that Do you struggle with that at all?
Yeah, I less now because I don't think I've ever been in this good of physical shape. Just really dialed in, working out and being very intentional about that. But I do compare myself to other people, specifically just being a mom, because a lot of women, I think, live, breathe, eat, sleep, and drink their kids. And I love my kids more than life itself.
Sure.
But I do believe that my job is to raise them to not need me one day. And I sometimes feel very isolated because of that. So that's probably my biggest comparison of, am I spending enough time? I'm not the get on the ground and play, make believe mom. And I beat myself up a lot for that. I try really hard. It's just not my thing. I'm the mom that's like, let's do affirmations on the way to school. Let's talk about the day. Let me coach you through this. Let me really teach you how to be a good, kind, honest person, because that's the goal. So like the mental side of raising kids, I feel like I really thrive. But the playful side, I think I fall just a little short. And that's where I think I compare myself quite a bit.
Yikes. Okay. Yeah, I get that. Where does that come from? Because that's not conventional.
I think that comes...
That's a maverick comment.
That is...
Yeah, which I love.
It is not conventional. I think, and I love you, Mom, if you're going to listen to this, I had the best mom in the world growing up. She was a stay-at-home mom and did she's the absolute best job raising my brother and I.
Yeah.
And we have her to thank for who we are today.
Sure.
But I think I always just felt like that wasn't going to be me because it didn't fill my bucket.
Okay.
And I think I've known that from a very young age. And even when we found out I was pregnant with Jackson, the conversation was, okay, well, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to get my real estate license and I'm going to sell real estate. Like while pregnant, I'm already talking about how I'm not taking leave and I'm going to have a baby and I have no idea what that looks like, but I'm going to have a career.
Yeah.
And that was really hard, I think, for a lot of people in my family to understand.
Gotcha.
Because it's not conventional. Yeah. It's not what generations had done. Yeah. And I think it's, I'm very supported and encouraged now in it. And I don't know that there was ever a time that I wasn't supported.
Yeah.
I think there was maybe just really?
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where it comes from.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you'll recognize this as you get older and your kids get older. But like, for me, like, I hope that my son will follow me in some capacity.
Yeah.
But like, and I think this is true for every parent at any age, they want what's ever best for them and to thrive at any level, regardless of if they do it like me. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be honored if Alex just kind of followed me and did what I kind of did, although I want way more for him.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, like, I just want him to be full and content and happy and, so for whatever that's worth.
No, I think that's valid.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll ask the kid, they're only 8 and 9.
Sure.
What do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to come and sell real estate with Mom? And Jackson's like, no, thanks. I want to be a farmer. And I'm like, yes, I love that for you.
Right.
I want that. I don't want them to do stuff just because Kyle and I did things a certain way. And I think my parents would feel the same way. You want more for your kids. You want them to do things different. And I think inherently parents maybe have opinions and sometimes want to voice them. I know Kyle and I will probably have those too as the kids get older, but I think ultimately it just comes down to you're raising a human to not need you anymore. And
I love that. That's philosophy.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll always love you. You'll always love them. You'll always be there, but
yeah,
you want them to be able to go out and let their wings fly.
Yeah, no, totally agree. That's really well put. I love that idea. So switching gears a little bit, I think this is kind of fun. If you were to take a class on any subject, what would that be?
Oh gosh. That's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, I'm a personal growth junkie. So I think just more personal growth or, exploring what the future looks like and what I see in the 5-year plan, 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Not just for, my family and my relationship with my husband, but also with me and my business and what that looks like. So I think maybe like a futuristic planning class would be kind of cool.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a neat idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about if you were to teach a class, what do you think that would look like?
So I kind of have this pipeline dream of being a speaker of some sort.
Okay.
Just speaking to experience about real estate, not about real estate, life, whatever. So I think I have a passion for real estate. So I would love to ultimately coach new agents and help them grow their business authentically. But I also want that personal element in there of coaching them as a person too.
Yeah.
So, and kind of helping them grow with their business personally and professionally.
Yeah, I love that. You'd be so great at that piece. What about, like, and you've heard these questions before, but like, what would you tell a younger version of yourself? Call it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you're a little girl, whatever.
Yeah.
Pick your era.
Well, first I would give myself a really big hug. Yeah. Because I don't think we hug ourselves enough, and it's really powerful to hug yourself and just let yourself know you're strong, you're capable, all the things.
Yeah.
But I think I would just tell myself it's gonna be a wild ride, but it's gonna be so great.
Yeah.
And don't dim your light so others shine brighter. That quote just really, I heard it 2 years ago at a conference I went to, and it really rings true to me.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by an incredible amount of women that are amazing, amazing moms. And I'm kind of on my own with my career as well as being a mom. And I think I've dimmed down what I've done in a very short period of time at a pretty young age, because I don't ever want people to treat me differently. I don't want it to seem like I'm boasting, and I still do that pretty frequently. So I would probably tell myself to just shout it from the rooftops. When you're just crushing it at life, shout it from the rooftops, just like I do how real I am when life is not going great. I mean, if you ask me on a day that it's not going well, I'm not going to hold it back. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, like, yeah, no, I'm actually having a relationship day. Yeah. And here's why. And I just kind of vomit everything. But that's probably what I would tell my younger self. Just own it and be worthy of it, because you are worthy of it.
Right. No, I totally agree. And I think that, like, that reminds me of the conversations you and I have had recently, just about surrounding yourself with those 5 people that are, you know, there's a mentor of mine once that told me, you know, you don't need a huge circle, but you need a circle that is there to support you when you f***ed up, as long as you, or, and a good friend will stab you in the front, not the back, right? Like, hey, you f***ed up, let's fix this. So to help pick you up, like when you're having an off season, right? Because it's never going to last forever.
No.
But one that you can also call, you and I have had this exact conversation of, you know, you can celebrate when there's a record month or something like that, right? Like, I don't feel you need a monstrosity of that. This is just me personally thinking. But if I've got my 4 or 5 or 6 people that I can rely on for, you know, if I am sucking, right? I need them to pick me up and say, hey, this is me stabbing you in the front. You're being a pick it up. Or this isn't you, like your mental headspace just isn't there. Let's get back to some of the things that, you know, do that. So anyway, a little bit off a tangent, but.
No, those people are important. And I think the older we get, the more important they are. Well, I don't necessarily even think age has to be a factor in it. I think if you're young or old, starting something new, starting something scary, or finding success at an age or a time in life where others aren't, you have to surround yourself with people that are going to boost you up and want that for you.
Yeah.
And that's not always easy to find.
It's hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah. What about, this is kind of fun. What's a memory that you never want to let go of?
Oh gosh. This is so silly. So the first time I feel like I was ever truly proud was when I was a sophomore in high school and our pom team won state.
Yeah. That's a memory you never want to let go of. I get it.
It's something I can't let go of. I mean, just the feeling that, you know, that down in Denver, them saying, you know, 4A state champions, Ralston Valley Mustangs. So I'm like, oh my God, that's it.
That's too cute.
You know, just that's just a fun memory of just kind of the team aspect and moving as one. And I mean, now that I'm older, I can really look and dive into that. Right?
Sure.
That felt good.
Right.
At the time of being 16, because you're 16 and you won state. But now at my age, I'm like, oh, but that was a team moving as one. Yeah. You know, I still watch the video of that dance, and it was very moving. So that's probably another story for let go.
No, and I like how you kind of bring it current, right? With just some of the, you know, I can relate now to Because you don't think about that crap when you're 16.
No. And I even think more so relating to it now because me specifically, when I find myself getting off track or I'm falling short of my own expectations of myself, which I have very high expectations of myself. So falling short happens pretty frequently in my eyes.
Sure.
It's nice to kind of remind myself I'm not in this journey by myself and I have my people and I need to let them in.
Yeah.
Take the mask off, let them in.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of masks, just teasing. Sorry. No,
We're not talking about that.
No, we're not about that. This one's kind of fun. So what's something that people would be, I've learned a couple new things about you today, but like generally speaking, what's something that somebody might be surprised to know about you?
So this is a little embarrassing.
These are the best stories.
So I have a pump up routine when I'm going to meet a new client or when I'm just speak some language. Okay. And I am the worst millennial. I don't have a Spotify. Kyle's tried to set it up for me. I just do Pandora.
Yeah.
And I listen to the ads. It's ridiculous. The Avril Lavigne radio station, is probably my guilty pleasure. And all of her songs are so great.
Yeah.
We're screaming. And it's so not anything anyone would picture me listening to. Totally. Just screaming on the highway, yelling all the things.
Yeah.
That's what I do. And I'm so upset because she just did a greatest hits tour with Simple Plan, but she didn't come to Denver. Oh, she's Canadian. So she spent most of her time in Canada and popped up a little bit in the US. And if I would have had better planning, I would have bought real good tickets to that concert.
So
and that's my guilty pleasure.
So you've recently taken to video a little bit more.
Yeah.
And there was a speaker that you saw at the conference in Vail, I think is how that kind of got started. I'm thinking that I know a really good producer type guy. That's him.
No one's pointing.
No one is pointing. My young protege.
He's probably a good, he's not a millennial. He's Gen Z.
I think you need to do like a little cruise through some neighborhoods and get somebody filming you.
That's a great idea. Oh my God, but she says all of her songs. We're going to have to beep it out.
Well, you could you either beep it out or just edit it and just get like 3 or 4 second clips and then tie together and I don't know. That'd be super fun.
It would be really fun. Oh yeah. I get a lot of asks for a day in the life of me, but every day is so different.
Well, I get that.
And also, again, I'm not a great millennial, so I'm just now doing reels for the first time, and those are how old? Yeah. And I don't know how to cut and copy and paste and do all of that.
Yeah, but you'll figure it out. It's just spend some time on YouTube or hire. Better yet, just hire.
Yeah, I think I'll probably do that.
Hire.
The second option.
Did I introduce you to Luke?
Yes, you did. We introduced via email, so I need to get with him.
Just get with him. Just take all the raw.
Be like, can you do it? Just put this
2-3 days later.
Do something with this.
Yeah, it comes back with a edited, all in. I don't even know what all of it means, but he just sends it back, and then Alex just posts it on my end and does it.
It's great. And then I text you and I say, "You're at the same tailgate as a friend." When I'm creepy and I watch it.
Isn't that funny? All right, so I love this question. Tell me about an experience where you had to be brave.
Probably, this is like really raw. When I was 16, some serious life stuff happened at home, and I kind of had to be an adult at a pretty young age and take on some responsibilities that I don't think a lot of 16-year-olds have to take on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it did a lot of things for me mentally, growth-wise, now that I've kind of processed and worked through. And I'm so grateful for the experience now because it's made me the person I am. But I think that's probably single-handedly the one experience that I had no choice but to be brave and to just be in the mud and the trenches, and this is what I got to do.
Wow.
So.
Do you have a major takeaway from it now looking back 10 years later, however long it's been?
Yeah, I think.
You didn't catch that, did you? Alex got it. 10 years? 10 years ago? Is that when you were 16? No, that was a compliment.
I mean,
right? You have 11 years ago, whatever that was.
Thank you. I'm not 26.
But like looking back, is there like a takeaway? And if don't share the story, but like, was it a confidence builder or like, I got this, or I can learn from these scary situations or whatever? Like, what's your big takeaway from it now?
My big takeaway is the fact that because I experienced this and have grown in my ability to be empathetic to the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
Kyle always says when we walk into a room, I can always leave with like 5 new best friends that I know everything about.
Yeah.
Because I think people know instantly that they can be comfortable with me and they share things with me. And I do. I think it's a gift, but I don't think I would have that gift if I wouldn't have had to grow up at 16.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think just my empathy and my ability to just know like people up, but like, how are you growing and learning from it? And how do I help you grow and learn from it? Not how do I, leave you to do it yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
think there's
takeaway.
I think empathy is such a great character trait because like I'm not very good at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I try to, so I'll give you a quick story. I called my car insurance a few months ago. I'm like, and all raging, right? Because what they told me what happened were 2 different things. And the young lady that was on the phone, like I couldn't help but go from 100 miles an hour to like 3 miles an hour. Like I wish I could hire her and like find out who she was because she was incredible. She's like, sir, I am so sorry. I truly empathize with what you're going through and I'm going to do everything I can to help you. And I instantly went literally from like smoke coming out of my ears to being like, Mufasa, right? Full like, and yeah, right. Anyway, so that's a very, you should be proud of that because that's a really good character trait.
Yeah. I mean, it's a gift. I mean, Kyle reminds me of that all the time. It's like you make people feel so uncomfortable or so comfortable very quickly that people share more with you in 5 minutes than they have with some people their whole life, which, some things I'm like, oh, I didn't need to know that.
Right.
Thanks for telling me. I love that. But other times I think it just helps. You can just kind of physically see someone let go and like weight is immediately lost because they are able to verbalize and. Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree. That's awesome. What about, I want to talk about mentors for a little bit. So one of my former coaches was big into, obviously, business coach. He shared, a marriage coach, somebody that you can rely on for advice. And we've got Dee Dee for that.
Yep.
A business coach, a spiritual coach or a faith coach, like a pastor, a nutrition coach, a body coach, right? The personal trainer or cycle bar.
Right.
Hike.
Yeah.
So when I say the word mentor, who do you think of? Have you had a good mentor in your life?
I mean, yes, I would say it just kind of goes about saying that's my mom.
Oh,
So my mom and I are freakishly close, and we show up wearing the same thing without, like twins have that twin thing going. My mom and I have that going, and it's super annoying to my dad, and my husband, but we don't care. Nobody cares. So, I mean, I'd probably say it's my mom. I mean, she's the first person to call me on my shit when I need to pull my head out of my ass, and she's the first person in the audience, like clapping, cheering me on. I think she doesn't give herself enough credit for it, but I give her all the credit in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always told you need 3 CEOs of your own company. So I'm self-employed and I'm a CEO of my company, but you need 2 more people that are kind of coming at things through a different lens. And I think my mom is absolutely one of those people.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
Moms are the best, aren't they?
They really are. She's the best.
Yeah.
Love you, Mom.
Love that. That's so cute. What about, so can you share with me, like, do you have a favorite success story? And I know that you're like humble and you don't like to talk about this. So I apologize for putting you on the spot. But like, and it doesn't have to be work related, but is there like a favorite success story? If you could toot your own horn, if I could make you toot your own horn for a minute, is there anything that comes to mind?
I mean, so in 2022, I think tooting my own horn, one of my goals was to be top 20 in the state of Colorado for Coldwell Banker.
Okay.
And so in 2022, I was 33.
Okay.
And I was number 19. Yes, and I was number 19.
Yes.
And to be candid, I hate putting numbers to things, but I'm going to say it because I know I'm in a safe space to celebrate. I never thought I would make the amount of money at my age that I did that year. And I made over $350,000 that year, which was a lot for me. And to know that I could do it. And it just was very surreal. It was very surreal.
Okay.
And took a lot of processing, I think, to just let myself feel proud and worthy of that. Because it was just never something I thought I would do.
Isn't that crazy when you start hitting, like, a year ago, I never thought I could have a six pack, and I don't, for the record. But like, I'm gonna have a six pack.
Yeah,
I've never in my life had abs that were visible.
Right.
And even my son, who's got abs and he's shredded, is like, they're starting to come through.
I see him, Dad. I see him.
And so, like, I want to talk. And I wasn't gonna go here, but just because I didn't have it in my notes. But I love this thought. Like, talk to me about doing things that you don't think are possible. Right. And now how do we, this is where my mind goes. How do we double that? Right. How do we get in the top 10?
Yeah.
How do we go from 350 to 2 commas?
Yeah.
Right. So is that any of that on your radar? And what does that look like?
So it is on my radar. Part of that reflection process that year was also the reality of me not being a very present mom or wife. Because I was so busy and he was gone all the time. And multiple times that year, my son specifically would tell me, I wish you wouldn't sell real estate anymore. Oh. So that was really hard to hear because so that was 2 years ago. So he was 7.
Good.
Didn't really understand what he was saying, but he understood what he was saying and what he was asking. So I think I do want to level up. I do want my name back on that board.
Yeah.
That was a really great feeling. Yeah. And Kyle was sitting next to me at the awards and he stood up and cheered so loud. And I was so fried and I kind of curled up and I just was so excited. But in that moment, I also was like, God, I missed a lot too. Yeah. So I want to level up. Yeah. I don't know how soon that will happen because I'm really entering some crucial years as a mom that I want to be a part of. Yeah. But I also try to welcome the kids in to be part of it. So if I'm showing on the weekends, the kids are coming with me. Okay. If I'm, on a call, I let them know that I'm on a call for that specific purpose. All my clients know I have kids. Yep. But I think I do want to level up. I don't know what that looks like or when.
I got you. We're going to talk about that off camera. Yeah. I got some stuff. But. So I love looking at challenges as lessons and not failures, I guess is how I should say that. Like, yeah. And it took me a long time to kind of realize that and not to have it affect my persona or my enthusiasm or anything. Like,
it's tough.
It is kind of tough. Now, literally, and I'm quite a bit older than you are, but I'm like, ow. If I screw it up, I'm just going to, I've got a lot more experience than you had. Right? I've fucked up a lot more things than you have, Nicole, right? So like, is that on your radar? I try and teach that, right? To my team. I've got a team of, there's 5 of us at the moment. Young Alex is, right? He's 20. He's on my team. I'm trying to let him fail. Because at the end of the day, like it's going to be okay. Yeah. Kind of a thing. So is there a challenge that maybe it taught you something that you can reflect on?
Yeah. This year specifically.
Yeah.
My growth.
Yeah. We talked about this.
So I am in my 9th year of real estate and this is probably my lowest producing year. It started as my lowest producing year. Yeah. I'm gaining momentum and I should finish not my best, not my worst, but okay. Yeah. So for the first 6 or 7 months, I was so in my head about how if I wasn't producing as number 1 agent in our office, which I have been for the past 5 years, I was failing. Yeah. There was no number 2, no number 10, no number whatever. There was 1 or there was nothing. Right. And I identified strongly as only a number 1 agent at my office and nothing else. Yeah. And that's a really bad mindset. So that struggle is very real for me right now. Sure. And still something I'm trying to navigate and learn how to just let go. It is my business is a part of my heart, but it's not my whole heart. And it's not who I am as a person. Right. But it has become, I have let it become who I am as a person and how I identify my self-worth. So this year has been picking up those pieces and trying to really put things together from a different perspective.
Yeah. I think it's really important what you just said, which is identifying your self-worth. and this is one of those things that without really thinking about, like in the moment, that's just kind of where your brain goes to, right? But I can promise you, and because I talk to Annette about this often too, right? My wife, how she sees herself is through a completely different lens than everybody else sees you.
Yes,
right?
100%.
I'm just going to test, not that I'm trying to, pump you up or whatever, but most of, your family doesn't care. I don't care. Like a lot of your friends aren't going to care.
They don't care at all.
So for whatever that's worth, know that you're.
It's all in my head. It's all head trash. It's all head trash.
Yeah.
And I don't have, right now I'm in the thick of trying to process what I have to prove to myself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
With my business. Are my clients happy? Am I happy? Is my family happy? Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is that, because I totally remember having this conversation with you. I was driving northbound on I-25, and we had just met with another friend of mine, and I called you afterwards. We were having this conversation about.
I was also driving northbound, and I started crying when we started doing
Yeah, I remember. But what's interesting is that maybe that kind of turned the page a little bit, and then you quit worrying about that. And then, because I think I try to remind you of listen, go back to what worked to get you
right
wherever that was, and have you gotten away from it? And if so, get back to it. And then all of a sudden, your projection for the end of the year is just taking off.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I just take care of my people. I call them, I text them, I'll send notes, because I genuinely care about them.
I know.
I screenshot stuff going on their Facebook, and I send them cards, and I just, again, I love pouring into people, and I really wasn't doing a ton of that at the beginning of the year because I was just spinning my wheels trying to make something of nothing.
There's the correlation.
So
yeah, get back to what works, and all of a sudden
then it works.
I love that.
Back to the basics.
Thanks for sharing. That's super cool.
Yeah.
So I think some of the things that I took, first of all, I told you sort of at the beginning, I love just doing this for me selfishly, right?
Yeah.
Just to get to, because I always learn something but a couple things that you said, it really stood out. I was melting when you were talking about your mom.
No.
She used it. I got to meet her. We should, three of us should just go have lunch.
Oh, she would love.
You should just invite her over, and we'll make the killer bullet.
Oh, she would. Mom, you would love this coffee, right? She's in Costa Rica right now.
Is she?
Oh, yeah, rough life.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just love your transparency and sharing with us some of the, the challenges and the wins and the losses.
Yeah.
And it's just super fun to first of all, it's an honor to know you and just have you here.
Well, likewise.
It's
I'm
so fun.
Excited about this.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, no, I had no idea what to expect, but I was so excited.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. So thank you so much for joining us. How can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah. So, you can Google me.
Nicole Wolf, no E, right? WLF.
Yes. Nicole Wolf, no F, no extra F, no E.
Right.
I'm on Instagram, Wolf Family RE is my brand, Wolf Family Real Estate. And then I'm on Facebook too. So Nicole Wolf - Wolf Family Real Estate.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you. This was great.
We'll do it again soon. Well, let's do something with your mom and have a quick clip, but we'll do some coffee or something like that.
Yes. So. Mom, you're doing it.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You bet.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Badass Mavericks. Remember that you have the potential and the superpower to achieve everything in life. All you must do is step out of your comfort zone, tap into your courageous self, and chase your dreams with a strong, positive mindset. For more inspiring conversations like this one, check out more episodes of the show at www.mavericklending.solutions.com. Do not stop this momentum of building the fulfilling life you truly deserve. That's all for now. See you on the next one.